Welcome to the Z Standing Ready channel. I am a licensed mental health counselor, licensed hypnotherapist, and psychologist. Sigmund Freud's concept of defense mechanisms outlines various subconscious strategies the ego employs to manage personal stress, anxiety, or internal conflict. These defensive mechanisms protect the projecting individual's mental well-being by distorting, denying, or altering their own reality to their benefit. Common ego defense mechanisms include refusing to acknowledge a painful reality, burying distressing thoughts and feelings from conscious awareness, erasing them from your mind, redirecting emotions from their original source to a safer substitute, justifying behavior with logical but often untrue reasons, channeling unacceptable impulses into socially acceptable activities, such as going to the gym and exercising, rather than becoming emotional, reverting to childlike behavior under stress. In this video, we will discuss a defense mechanism in which we project our feelings onto another person. Quite simply, it is the act of transferring one's unacceptable thoughts and feelings onto someone else.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
This is a classic scene illustrating how projecting works. It's brutal. Here, Jack Nicholson can't accept the fact that his actions resulted in a serviceman's death. To be able to live with himself, Nicholson has to avoid acknowledging this truth to himself, so he projects his negative feelings onto another. In this example, it is projection at its most fundamental level. Jack Nicholson tries desperately to distance himself from his reality by accusing Tom Cruise, the lawyer, of being not able to accept the truth. Cruise ultimately breaks through the soldier's subconscious defense mechanism of projection and compels Jack Nicholson to admit his wrongdoing. Projection of one's feeling is all done in the individual's subconscious mind. The person projecting their feelings has no idea they are doing it, and they truly and honestly believe it is the other person who is at fault. This video aims to delve into the intricate dynamics of projection, where individuals subconsciously externalize their undesirable thoughts, feelings, or impulse onto another. Freud's identification of projection as a psychological defense mechanism underscores the complex interplay between the conscious and the subconscious mind in managing internal conflicts and distressing emotions. It's important to note we all use Freud's defense mechanisms every day against one another to manage our own personal anxiety and stress. If we didn't use them, we would have poor mental health issues because of the increase in our own levels of anxiety and stress. Projection highlights the individual's effort to cope with internal conflicts and anxieties by distancing themselves from problematic feelings, feelings people find too threatening to acknowledge as part of their own psyche. However, projecting one's negative personal feelings onto another almost always leads to conflict within that relationship. As a psychological defense mechanism, it can negatively affect friendships, family dynamics, romantic relationships, and marriages. When an individual is projecting his or her own ego, there will inevitably be misunderstandings and conflicts between the parties, whether they are friends, families, or co-workers. The target of projection will feel wrongly accused or judged, which will ultimately and understandably lead to confusion and conflicts between the two individuals. Additionally, trust can be strained. Projection can erode or destroy trust, which is the foundation of any healthy relationship. So here are some ways to cope with unfounded accusations against you and protect yourself from these projected accusations made by others. To address projection, the first step is to recognize it and confirm that you are the target. This often requires introspection. It's sometimes helpful to use other people as a mirror. Sometimes Whatever you are accusing others of doing, there is a good chance you have done it or are doing it yourself to others. So you have to cut them some slack. There is almost a certain possibility that you have done it to others in the past. But on the other hand, you may truly be the victim. Counseling or therapy can be instrumental in addressing the root cause of projection and developing healthier coping mechanisms. However, this is sometimes difficult for the therapist. The therapist might have difficulty discerning the truth. Two people may sincerely believe they are being honest, but only one of them is being truthful. It is difficult and time-consuming for the therapist to sort fact from fantasy. In order to protect their own emotional well-being, those affected by someone else's projection must establish healthy and strict boundaries. If they don't, there are personal negative consequences. But most importantly, they must first recognize and understand what is being done to them. The impact of someone projecting their own negative feelings onto another can be felt by the recipient in harmful ways. When someone is constantly subjected to projection, it can lead to confusion and self-doubt. They might begin to question their own perceptions and beliefs. If they are frequently accused repeatedly of having traits or behaviors they don't actually identify with, continuous projection can erode a person's self-esteem. Being regularly labeled with negative traits or unjustly accused of certain behaviors can make the recipient feel flawed or inadequate and, at worst, regardless of the truth, may start to feel guilty even though they are not at fault. For example, you have to ask yourself, do you feel deficient, or is it another person projecting their own negative feelings onto you? Projection can put a significant strain on relationships. Being on the receiving end of this defense mechanism can lead to frustration, misunderstanding, and disputes, whether in a personal, professional, or social context. Remember, in the classical sense, the person who is projecting is unaware they are doing it. They genuinely believe they are looking at the situation truthfully and factually, while blaming another for their own personal faults. The person who uses this defense mechanism has the advantage that they generally believe they have the conviction of their own lie. It is one of the primary tools narcissists use to control others. In many cases, conscious rather than subconscious projection can be a form of manipulation. The person might use this defense mechanism to control or dominate the other person. Manipulation in this manner is also sometimes referred to as gaslighting an individual. Here are some coping strategies for recipients. Understanding projection as a defense mechanism can help recipients not take these false accusations personally and recognize that these accusations are more reflective of the accuser's issues and shortcomings rather than their own. Individuals on the receiving end need to set healthy boundaries. This can involve communicating their feelings and refusing to accept unjust or unfounded accusations. However, this can sometimes be harder to do than it seemingly appears. Identifying this defense mechanism can be difficult, but with experience and practice, it becomes easier to determine when it is happening to you. Get another person's take on the situation. Friendly and understanding support is oftentimes instrumental in understanding the relationship dynamics. Being assertive and standing up for oneself can effectively address and correct the accuser's behavior. Freud's concept of projection offers insights into the behavior of the person using this defense mechanism, and it highlights the significant impact defense mechanisms can have on those around them. Understanding the concept of projection, setting boundaries, and seeking support are crucial for those on the receiving end to maintain their emotional well-being and navigate these complex interpersonal dynamics. Projection is a pervasive defense mechanism. Learn to identify it when it is happening early in a relationship, and remember how to constructively oppose being used as the target.